My husband, Lucian, didn't just smell the world, he devoured it. He was the nose of Paris and New York, the founder of Maison Graves. He could distinguish between a Bulgarian rose and a Turkish one by the dew point on the petal. He was the face on the billboards, the genius in the tuxedo, the man who claimed to bottle desire. I was the chemist in the lab in the sub-basement. I was Elise, the technical director. I was the one who translated his abstract, poetic demands, make it smell like heartbreak on a rainy Tuesday, into actual molecular formulas. I balanced the aldehydes, stabilized the volatile oils, and ensured the shelf life didn't expire before the bottle left the store. We were launching Opus, his masterpiece. It was a fragrance 5 years in the making. "It will be the scent of the century," Lucian told Vogue, "a tribute to my one true muse." Everyone assumed the muse was me. I was the wife of 20 years. I was the one who'd nursed him through his anosmia scare in 2019. I was the one who built the empire. But the muse wasn't me. The muse was Katerina. She was the 23-year-old face of the Opus campaign. She was Russian, leggy, and looked at Lucian the way a moth looks at a porch light. I found out about them in the usual way, a carelessly unlocked iPad. But the betrayal went deeper than sheets and hotel rooms. I found a folder labeled Post-Launch Restructuring. Lucian wasn't just leaving me, he was erasing me. The documents were brutal. He had filed patent applications for Opus, listing himself as the sole inventor. He had drafted a press release announcing my retirement due to health reasons, specifically early onset cognitive decline. He was going to gaslight the industry into thinking I had lost my mind so he could cut me out of the company's shares. He planned to serve me with divorce papers the morning after the launch party. He would be the grieving genius husband, and I would be the confused, discarded burden. I looked at the date. The global launch gala was in 3 days. I didn't scream. I went to the lab. Chemistry is a game of patience. It's about understanding how molecules interact over time. Lucian understood top notes, the first impression. He understood heart notes, the core. But he never paid attention to base notes, the lingering scent that stays on the skin after the party is over. He wanted Opus to smell like gold and skin. The formula was complex. Ambergris, jasmine, saffron, and a synthetic pheromone I had developed called Molecule X. I spent the next 48 hours in the lab. I told Lucian I was running final stability tests on the blue bottle, the single diamond-encrusted flacon that would be auctioned off for charity at the gala, and the massive atomizers that would mist the crowd at the climax of his speech. "Make it perfect, Elise," he said, checking his reflection in the stainless steel vat. "This night has to be immortal." I promised it will be unforgettable. I didn't change the scent, not initially. I introduced a slow-acting oxidizing agent into the batch destined for the gala. It was a compound that remained inert at room temperature, but reacted violently to body heat and the specific humidity of a crowded room. It was designed to bind with the sulfur in human sweat. The night of the gala was a spectacle. The grand ballroom at the plaza was draped in gold silk. Katerina was there wearing a dress that looked like liquid mercury clinging to Lucian's arm. I stood in the shadows, wearing a sensible black dress, holding a glass of champagne I didn't drink. At 10 p.m., Lucian took the stage. He looked magnificent. "Tonight," he purred into the megaphone, "I give you the essence of love itself. I give you Opus." He pressed the button. Giant hidden atomizers hissed. A fine golden mist descended over the 500 guests, celebrities, editors, investors. At first, it was divine. The jasmine bloomed, the saffron spiked. The crowd inhaled collectively, murmuring in delight. It smelled like wealth. It smelled like sex. Lucian beamed. He pulled Katerina closer. "And to my muse," he toasted. I checked my watch. T-minus 10 minutes. The oxidation process begins slowly. It starts as a sour note, like milk left on a counter. I saw the editor of Elle frown and sniff her own wrist. Then the reaction accelerates. 5 minutes later, the ambergris note, usually salty and sweet, began to degrade into its chemical cousin, fecal matter. The jasmine soured into the smell of rotting vegetation, and molecule X, when bonded with the sulfur in the sweat of 500 people in tuxedos, mimicked the exact chemical profile of a decomposing body. The murmurs of delight turned to confusion, then disgust. "What is that smell?" someone whispered near me. "Is something burning?" "Oh, God, it smells like meat." Lucian was still on stage, basking in the lights. He couldn't smell it yet. The stage was air-conditioned. But then Katerina gagged. She covered her nose and mouth with her hand. "Lucian," she choked out, "you stink." He laughed nervously. "What? It's the scent of passion." "It smells like a sewer," a donor yelled from the front row. The panic set in. Guests were gagging. People were scrubbing at their arms with napkins, desperate to get the oil off their skin. But that was the beauty of my formula. The more they rubbed, the more heat they generated, and the worse the smell became. It was a symphony of stench, a riot of rot. Lucian stared out at the crowd, his face crumbling. He sniffed his own sleeve. He recoiled violently, retching on stage. I walked calmly toward the exit. The air outside was cool and clean. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Lucian. "What did you do?" I didn't reply. I simply forwarded him a document. It wasn't a divorce paper. It was a whistleblower report I'd filed with the FDA and the European Medicines Agency that morning. It detailed Lucian's use of banned carcinogenic stabilizers in the mass market version of Opus, stabilizers he had insisted on using to cut costs, against my written advice. The smell would ruin his reputation tonight. The investigation would ruin his freedom tomorrow. I hailed a cab. The driver looked in the rearview mirror. "Rough night?" he asked, eyeing the people stumbling out of the plaza, coughing and gagging. "Actually," I said, rolling down the window to breathe in the exhaust and city grit, "it's the freshest air I've breathed in 20 years." I took out the patent filing I'd mailed to myself a month earlier, the original formula for Opus, dated and notarized before Lucian had even named it. I had the nose, I had the formula, and now, thanks to the biohazard zone back at the hotel, I had the only version of the scent that didn't smell like a crime scene. Lucian wanted to leave a legacy. I made sure he did. He would forever be remembered as the man who fumigated the Manhattan elite. I, on the other hand, was launching my own label in the spring. I planned to call the debut fragrance Sweet Revenge.